Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Jessie D, an open-world RPG gamer with a master's degree in ecology and evolution. I'm a scientist by day and a gamer by night. In my spare time, I produce a podcast called Gamer's Guide to Ecology, where I play popular open-world RPGs from an ecological perspective. Every month is a new game, and on my show, I talk about in-game biodiversity and ecology, while sprinkling in some real-world science like anthropogenic disturbances and evolutionary concepts. I'm very excited to be here today on SideQuest to talk to you about one of my all-time favorite games, and one that first got me into open-world gaming, Shenmue. Shenmue was released by Sega in 1999, and I played it on my Sega Dreamcast. Before I move on, I want to give a big shout out to Sega Dreamcast, basically the dial-up version of a gaming console. That thing was so loud, honestly a very nostalgic sound for me now when I hear it. Shenmue was the first video game that I ever played that didn't have levels, and the first game I beat on my own without getting help from my brother or looking up a guide on the internet. Even today, my grandma still remembers me playing the game so much. She'll say things like, "Man, that guy was always running everywhere," or "Oh, there goes that guy running again," because it was the fastest way to make the character get around. Walking was just too slow. Anyway, it's been credited with pioneering both open-world gaming and QTE, quick time events, where you have to hit the right button when prompted by the game as quickly as you can. You see that type of gameplay in Modern Warfare, when you have to hit a certain button to make your character do something before you get stabbed or whatever. Shenmue had a bit of something for everybody. Martial arts combat, exploration, puzzle solving, RPG, in-game collections, and even games within games. To give you a quick snapshot of the synopsis, the game takes place in late 1986 in Japan. In the game, you play as Ryo Hazuki, a hot-tempered Japanese high school student who sets out to avenge the murder of his father by a mysterious villain named Lan-Di. A major part of the story is gathering clues about Lan-Di's whereabouts and trying to track him down. You interview people about that day, the day the snow turned to rain, which are really just nice ways of saying when Ryo's father was murdered. Your neighbors give you their account of what they saw on that day, and Ryo makes notes in his notebook, and then from there, you go to the next person to question. And eventually, Ryo gets himself mixed up in some gang activity, and he runs into some trouble. But luckily, though, Ryo knows karate, and along the way, you can practice your moves in empty parking lots, spar with other people, and collect new scrolls or find people to teach you new moves. At the time when I got this game as a kid, I was in jiu-jitsu classes at the local YMCA, and coming home and getting to kick butt was just the coolest thing for a 10-year-old. Another fun thing that Shenmue did that I think was pretty groundbreaking at the time was that it had in-game collectible sets, like toys that came inside capsules that you could buy for 100 yen, or win at lottery games by buying candy bars or sodas from vending machines, and then you cash in the tickets. The toys were vehicles or in-game objects, like Sonic or Virtua Fighter characters, arcade games, there was a forklift. You could also win the toys by getting high scores in some of the arcade games, or winning races on your forklift. At one point in the game, you get a job as a forklift driver at the docks, and I spent literally all my money and all of my lunch breaks playing for high scores in the lounge, where they had these arcade games that you could play. I also got really good at driving a forklift, so I won those trophies too. Another fun thing you can collect in the game are cassette tapes. Now remember, this is the 80s. Now, if you were born after the year 2003, you might not know what a cassette tape is. Just kidding. Or am I? I don't know. They were like little VHS tapes for your ears. But what's a VHS tape? Never mind. Ask your parents. Speaking of the 80s, have fun dialing phone numbers on a rotary phone. Anyway, you can buy various cassette tapes for your portable cassette player that takes AA batteries. Unfortunately, you can't walk around while you're listening to them. You can only listen to them with the cassette player open in your inventory. Shenmue was the first game that I played where items could be combined in the inventory and used to interact with the world. Probably not the first game to ever do it, but definitely a first for me. Like combining a flashlight with D batteries to see in the dark, or putting candles out on holders and then lighting them with matches. This type of realistic problem solving and intuitive item combination just really jived with me. I felt like I really got this game, which is a big deal for a 10-year-old, where something just finally clicks and you're like, I get it. You're not just punching and kicking bad guys, you're exploring and interacting with the world around you. If you're not into the main story, Shenmue has a lot of ways you can waste time and money on meaningless things. Besides the collectibles, you can also gamble at a casino or spend hours at the arcade playing Space Harrier, a third-person rail shooter game where you have to shoot giant monsters that fly towards you. Or Hang On, a motorcycle racing game that's like a little thing that you sit on and you lean back and forth to move the motorcycle. There's a hidden Sega Saturn that you can find at Ryo's house, so you can practice playing the arcade games at home, so you can save money before going to get the high score at the arcade. If you like RPG, there are some great character moments in this game, mixed in with some really frustrating ones, and other ones where you're just like, what? The English voice acting is not great, and in some places it's spectacularly bad and repetitive, but I think that just adds to the charm of this game and makes it memorable. Some examples are when Ryo enters a bar and the bartender slides over a glass of milk while going, "Milk's perfect for a schoolboy, I'd say." Or if you're knocking on townsfolk doors looking for information about the day your dad died, and Ryo just keeps going, "No one's home? Perhaps they're out. I don't think anybody's home." There are so many of those memorable, silly lines that really make this game a cult classic. There are also some really great lessons in this game too. Like in a memory flashback, Ryo's father tells him to cherish his friends because they'll still be around even after his parents die. And another time, Master Chen, a teacher that Ryo seeks out that might know the location of Lan Di, tells him not to waste his life on revenge. Obviously, however, Ryo does not heed Master Chen's advice because the end of the game is Ryo boarding a cargo ship bound for Hong Kong in pursuit of Lan Di. Shenmue 2 picks up the story just as Ryo is stepping off the ship. Getting to meet all the NPCs and see memories that Ryo has shared with some of them just makes this game special for me. Besides Sonic Adventure with the Chow, this was the first time I ever played a game where you could spend hours playing the game but not actually playing the game, you know? Like doing something inside the game that didn't matter to the story or the game progression. And that opened up a whole new world of gaming for me. So thanks, Shenmue, for introducing us to open world gaming. I hope you enjoyed listening to my Side Quests episode today. I'd love to hear what you think of the game too. Pick up your allowance from Ine-san on the way out, and happy gaming.
Hey there, Screen Beans. Have you heard about Screen Snark?
Rachel, this is an ad break. They aren't Screen Beans until they listen to the show.
Fine. Potential Screen Beans. You like movies and TV shows, right?
I mean, who doesn't? Screen Snark is a casual conversation about the movies and television shows that are shaping us as we live our everyday lives.
That's right, Matt. We have a chat with at least one incredible guest every episode, hailing from all walks. We've interviewed chefs,
writers, costumers, musicians,
yoga teachers, comedians, burlesque dancers,
folks in the film and TV industry,
and more.
We'd be delighted for you to join us every other Monday on the Certain POV Podcast Network.
Or wherever you get your podcasts, fresh and tasty off the presses.
What? That's not...
Can I call them Screen Beans now?
Fine.
Screen Beans!
So tune in and we'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere.
'Cause you're all Screen Beans now.
You will be mine.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.